God, put your pants back on. LSD, or lysergic acid diethylamide, is a potent hallucinogen, a drug that can alter a person's perception of reality and vividly distort the senses. LSD was originally derived from ergot, a fungus that grows on rye and other grains. LSD is usually packaged in squares of LSD-soaked paper, blotters, miniature powder pellets, microdots, or gelatin chips, window pane. Blotters are sometimes printed with illustrations of cartoon characters. The physical effects of LSD may include numbness, rapid heartbeat, reduced coordination, chills, nausea, tremor, weakness and dilated pupils. Sensations of gravity may be altered, ranging from feeling weighted down to feeling light as a feather. LSD produces vivid visual effects. Colors seem to become more intense, halos of rainbows may appear around objects, and shapes may become fluid in form. Rapidly changing brightly colored geometric patterns and other images may be seen, whether the eyes are open or shut. These visual distortions are referred to as pseudo-hallucinations because people know that what they are seeing is not real and is due to the effect of the drug. This story is by Weiner and comes from ergot.org, a site dedicated to drug harm reduction and trip experiences. If you want to explore some of these stories yourself, we will have the website linked in the description below. Please like and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us to grow and to share these real-life trippy experiences with more people. Male. Body weight, 190 pounds. Dose, 3 hits. Oral LSD. It was a beautiful summer day. I was camping with my best friend Jay, and we each dropped 3 hits of some pretty strong acid. She was a much more experienced tripper. I had only done it once before and only 1 hit. However, it was such an enjoyable experience. I thought, triple the acid, triple the fun. Wrong. That way, madness lies. The visuals were intense to say the least. We spent the day hiking and tripping and having a hell of a good time. We hiked down a long trail toward a waterfall. The waterfall and the lake at the bottom were full of people, and it was the most beautiful sight I had ever seen. There were people of all races and nationalities just being together in nature. Jay and I made our way to the edge of the falls and met a couple there. I remember Jay telling them that we had just gotten engaged, and they congratulated us. That was weird, but I just figured Jay was off in her own la-la land, and decided to file that information away for future digestion. Things started to get weird. The visuals stopped. Dead. All the swirlies and tracers and fractals, gone. Everything was silent, except for a very low humming or buzzing sound that seemed to spring from the very fabric of the universe. The people were still there, but I barely noticed them. They weren't real anyway. They were just a part of the fabric of reality that I constructed to hide from myself the awful truth that I was and always had been. God. My entire past life, I now realized, was only a shadow, just a story that I had been playing out for eternity. The job of God is lonely. The sole being of the universe has no one to talk to. I had no concept of the fact that I had done drugs. I knew that I had been awakened to perform some tasks. I then realized that I wasn't alone in the universe. I was only half. The other half was feminine. I remember seeing her. Not really seeing with my eyes, but with LSD goggles, I guess, standing above the waterfall. She was old, terribly old, and brown. I then knew what my job was, and how I played into the cosmic order. My job was to die. I realized that it was the summer solstice. It was, actually. And it was time for the earth to end the birth process and begin preparing for death to occur in the fall. Energy flowed from me that kept the plants and animals alive and the sun warm. On this day, I must shut down the flow of energy to keep the natural cycle of the world flowing. To do this, I had to die. I would be reborn again on the winter solstice to bring life back, and then die again next summer. This was the way it had always been. I looked at her, the old brown woman, and asked, not verbally, but I asked somehow, if it had to be this way. Yes, it had to be. Okay, so I'm the dying god. Birth and death, she remains constant, the passive force, but I was the active force. She never experiences great suffering, but never great joy either. I am free to feel both. I realized that my past life that I constructed had been foolish. There had been so much suffering. Why do that when I can construct any reality I want? I asked her if I could enjoy this, my constructed reality, and she said, again not in words, I don't care, as long as the cycle continues. Well, okay then. I can do whatever I want. I then realized how silly it was that I was wearing clothes. Off with them then. Anyway, those other people around the pond aren't real. I can dance and sing and shout naked in a public park. Why not? A ranger, notified by some of the other pond people, maybe they were real after all, took offense at my joy-making and suggested that it would perhaps be a good idea to consider replacing my clothes. I have no idea what time it was, but it was starting to get dark, so it had probably been 6 or 7 hours since dropping the hits, and I guess I was coming down a little. Anyway, I remembered that I had done drugs and had taken all my clothes off and scared the hell out of a bunch of people. I didn't realize that the man was a park ranger. I thought he was a cop coming to arrest me for killing Jay. Somehow, I had gotten it into my head that I had pushed her off a cliff during my stupor. I hadn't. She had just wandered away somewhere. Suddenly, my life was over. I was going to jail for the rest of my life. All my big dreams and plans, gone. And my parents, God. I didn't want to think about them. This was going to kill them. The ranger escorted me up to the office, I was now properly clothed, and asked me if I was on drugs. Yes, I said. No point in lying, I can't make it any worse. He asked if I was okay, and if I needed to go to the hospital. Shock. So I thought, maybe I'm not being arrested. Maybe I didn't kill her. I just didn't know. Well, I eventually met back up with Jay, fully alive, and we made our way back to the campsite. The ranger was a very cool person and could have easily called the cops. Lucky me. Even though I didn't hurt Jay or myself or anyone else, I could have, and I am very fortunate that I did not. I'm not convinced that my experience was entirely a drug-crazed hallucination. I sometimes wonder if I didn't tap into something very deep on that summer solstice at the base of the waterfall. I'll never know, because I'll never do acid again. I tripped a few more times and always came back to the God story. Fortunately, I was able to keep enough of my sanity to not act out anymore. I'm just not the type that can handle it. I see things that I don't want to see. As an end note, I was also on Prozac at the time. I wonder if this is what caused my incredibly unusual tripping behavior. Considering how Prozac affects the brain, I think it's very likely. That's it for today's video, guys. If you enjoyed this story, or if you have any requests for other crazy drug experiences, please leave a comment below and subscribe to our channel. Thanks again for sticking around till the end. See you in the next video. Stay trippy.